Welcome to Durham Student Experience podcast, where I'm going to be chatting with current Durham University students to find out all about their life at Durham. So here with us today, we have Sunita, and she's going to tell us all about her student experience at Durham University. If you'd like to give us a really quick overview of, for example, your name, your degree, what year you're in, and what college you're part of.
So, hi everyone, my name is Sunita and I'm currently in my third year at Durham University studying English literature, and my college is University College, which is known to most of us at Durham as Castle.
Fabulous, thank you for that introduction. And whereabouts in the country are you from, Sunita?
So I'm from London, that's where I was born and raised, and ethnically my family is Indian, but I was born in the UK, so I'm from London.
How did you find moving up to Durham from London? Was it something that you had thought of when you were applying to university, that you wanted to move quite far away from home, or was it a surprise to you when you chose Durham?
I think a little bit of both. I always knew that I wanted to move away from London, and I really wanted to have a little bit of independence and have a new experience. But I was also quite surprised that I love Durham so much, because London and Durham do seem quite different. London's obviously a very big city, just lots of people, can feel very busy in a good way and also quite overwhelming, whereas Durham is quite a bit smaller. I feel like it's a lot more historical and just quite pretty. It just feels quite different from London. So I was surprised that I was so attracted to Durham, but I really feel like Durham is my home now. I still love London, but I really, really love Durham.
Had you ever visited Durham before coming to university? Did you come on any of the open days or anything like that?
Yes, I did one of the open days. I can't remember which open day it was, but I didn't do the offer holder day. I only did the open day, but I came up with my best friend from school, and I remember really clearly because she hated Durham and I loved it. So that was a really important experience for me. I really enjoyed being able to get a feel for what Durham was like, and hearing experiences of students that were already here. So I loved Durham when I visited, and that open day was really important for me.
What was it about Durham on that open day that made you really fall in love with it?
I think it was partly just the feel of the city. I loved how historical it was. I just found it quite cozy and welcoming, and I also really, really enjoyed meeting current students, and I genuinely felt that every single student I talked to was just so excited, seemed to love their time at Durham, seemed to love the college experience, and hearing how positive and happy they were just made me feel like, okay, well, if these students are so happy and positive, then Durham must be a great place to study. And so I was just really attracted by that.
Have you got any top tips for anyone that might be moving away from home and relatively far away from home like you did?
I would say try to think about what makes you feel at home and try to bring those things with you when you move. So whether it's like posters or things that you have in your room that make it feel homely, or I know for me it's a bit weird, but a big thing is like kitchen equipment. Like I really like having good cooking stuff, and so I made sure to bring a lot of that with me when I came to uni, and that just really helped me to feel settled in. So yeah, I'd say try to like create a home away from home, and really think about making the new place homely and just embrace the adventure. I feel like when I looked at it with a very excited perspective, that helped me enjoy it more, whereas if I felt really nervous and anxious about it, then that kind of made the whole experience more kind of anxiety inducing. So I think, yeah, just embrace it as an adventure, recognize that you're definitely going to feel homesick and you're going to have times where you wish you were at home, but that's honestly the case for everyone. Like even if people have moved 5 minutes away from where they lived, it's a new experience for everyone. So take that in your stride.
How did you find the jump between A-levels and degree studying? Because I know it's something that quite a lot of people are worried about when they're looking at university. How did you find the jump?
I thought it was going to be much scarier and more difficult than it actually ended up being. I remember hearing all these things like, you're going to have to read so many books every week, you're going to have so much to do, you're going to be completely on your own, nobody's going to tell you what to do anymore. And those things are true, like to a very small extent, but it's really not as big a jump as people make out, I think. And you are independent, but I think you're definitely guided a lot as to how to use that independence. So you're given an idea of what kind of things you're supposed to be reading. You're given preparation for seminars and tutorials and things like that. In terms of the way the course is structured, it's obviously quite different from the way that you're taught at A-level. Like when I did English A-level, it was like, you know, a few texts over 2 years. Whereas when you get to uni, it's like you're being lectured on a different text every week, but you don't have to read every single one of those things, and you're not, you know, bombarded with books or anything like that. I think having all the independence and the free time is really a great way to figure out what you're interested in. So I really took that time to find out what texts I enjoyed and really explore the different parts of my course. And I didn't take that as like having a lot more pressure. I took that as use this opportunity to find out what you love. So yeah, I think the jump is definitely made out to be a lot more scary than what it actually ends up being. And I found my lecturers and tutors and everyone really, really supportive. So if I emailed them or I went and visited them in their office hours, they would always kind of be there to guide me or to explain what I needed to do if I was confused. And I had an academic advisor as well and a college mentor, and they were both really, really helpful as well in reassuring me or guiding me if I needed any extra help. So I definitely found that there is obviously a difference between uni and A-level, but you're really supported and there are lots of people to go and seek help from if you feel like you do need some extra support.
Oh, that's really, really good to know. You mentioned that you used the time to find out what you were interested in. So how did you find balancing your workload?
I think it's definitely about figuring out what my priorities were. So for example, if I had an essay deadline coming up, then obviously that would be like the top of my priority list. And then maybe reading for seminars and tutorials, because obviously those are quite important as well. And you don't really want to go into a tutorial having nothing to say. That's never ideal. And then I think once those sort of key deadlines were done and I knew when I was on top of those, then the rest of that time would just be time for me to explore whatever else it is I wanted to do. So a mix between, you know, going to the library, reading other texts on the course and seeing what I enjoyed, and then also obviously having time for extracurriculars and socializing and things like that. So I think it was definitely just about creating a list of priorities so I wouldn't, you know, be last minute in the library trying to rush an essay, but also making sure that I had time to do those other things as well, because they're so important too.
It's really important to find that balance between everything. What sort of extracurricular activities have you been involved in during your time at Durham?
So first year I definitely got involved in a lot, because I'm glad I did in hindsight as well, because the first year was definitely when I had the most time outside of my degree, and so I really just took that opportunity to do a lot of other things. So one of them was that I got involved in my college events and balls committee. So balls are quite a big deal at Durham. It's just one of those really sort of weird, quirky things. Like I'd never been to anything like a ball before I came to uni, but I think like most other people, I just really fell in love with the experience. It's basically like a really big, fancy sort of party event. The college gets really nicely decorated. There's loads of cool sort of entertainment going on, music, food, all of that sort of thing. And I did art when I was in school, and obviously had chosen to take English as my degree, so I really missed doing art. And when I found out about the ball committee and found out there were loads of creative positions, I thought that was really cool, and I applied to be on it, and I got a position in my first year. So I was a creative coordinator and had a team of other people in college, and we were given rooms in the college which we would get to decorate for each ball. So it was pretty much up to us what we did. There was a theme for the whole ball, but then for the individual rooms we could buy decorations, we could make decorations. So I did a lot of painting, which I absolutely loved, and it was just a really, really fun experience. So that was one of the things that I did in my first year and also continued in my second year as well, because I really love that experience.
It's so good to hear you talk about as well how you got involved with things in college. So how did you find the college experience?
I absolutely loved the college experience. I feel like it's one of those things where you don't have to love it, but it just gives you an additional level of things to be engaged with. So I know some people who just get involved with uni-wide societies, or maybe they're just really involved with their degree and meet a lot of people through that. But the great thing about having the college system is that it then has another level where if you want to, you can get involved in loads of college level societies, you can meet loads of people in college if you want to. And I definitely found my experience was kind of mixed between all of those. So I did meet a lot of people quite early on in college who I've really clicked with, and a lot of them did go on to become some of my closest friends in second and third year as well. But equally, I also met people through my degree and through other societies as well. But I just think college really, like, it sounds so cliche, but honestly, it can, and it did to me, feel like a home. And that experience of living in college in my first year, I just found so valuable. And I say to a lot of my friends now, when we're reflecting back on that time, like, I probably wouldn't have met and wouldn't have known a lot of you if we didn't like sit down at meal times together every day in college, because, you know, we didn't do the same course, we didn't necessarily have loads of shared interests or anything like that, so we might not have met through a society, but just sitting down at meal times and talking about our day, that was one of the biggest ways that I formed connections with people. So I love the college experience. I think that it's just such a great way to connect with people, and if you don't, then that's completely fine as well. It's not necessarily for everyone, and it's not like crucial to the Durham experience, but personally I found it really important.
That's fab. Did you move out of college in your second or third year?
Yeah, so I moved out of college in my second year, and I actually chose to continue to live out of college in my third year. So I could have decided to get a room back in college if I wanted to, but I found that it was a little bit cheaper living out. And I also found a really good bunch of housemates. So I stayed basically with the same housemates from second to third year. And I loved a lot of things about living in college, but I also love a lot of things about living out as well. So I really love being able to cook for myself. I definitely value having both those experiences. I'm so glad that I got to live in college in my first year and be catered and have meal times with my friends every single day. But I'm also really grateful for the experience of living out and, you know, having my own house with my friends. They're definitely both great experiences.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this one. Are you president of the Vegetarian and Vegan Society?
I am, yeah, that's right.
Could you maybe just tell us a little bit about being president of a society and how that's impacted you, what skills and things you developed from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got involved with the society in my first year in a very casual way. So I remember when I came to uni, I'd only been vegan for 6 months, I think. So I was really looking to just meet other people and connect with people, share food, that sort of thing. So I joined the society and went to a few of the events they ran in first year, and I really enjoyed it. I met some really amazing people. So in second year, I decided to run for president, which was really scary because I didn't know anyone else on the exec of the society. I didn't know anyone else who was running, and there were all the other people who were running that year were kind of friends already. So it was a really nerve-wracking experience, but I ran and I ended up getting the position, which was really exciting. And it's definitely taught me so much. It's given me so many skills, because I think as president, it makes it sound like you have to do a ton of work, and that's not necessarily the case. I think it's more about managing the ideas of everyone else on the exec and making sure everyone else gets a say. And, you know, sometimes there are disagreements about people wanting to take the society in a different direction or having different ideas for an event, and the president's role is sort of to negotiate that and to make the final decision on what happens. So yeah, it's a lot of negotiating skills, a lot of kind of actually having your own ideas taking a backseat and just listening more to what other people have to say. So it definitely taught me a lot of patience and a lot of communication skills as well. And yeah, it's been an incredible experience. I've met so many cool people. We've put on some really amazing events. Like, probably the thing I'm proudest of is this year we organized a big market event. So we invited lots of different businesses and charities based in the Northeast, as well as other student societies, and we held a big market festival in the Durham Masonic Hall, and we invited students, we invited sort of local residents, and it was brilliant. Everyone was so happy. It was a really successful event, and we even got shortlisted for a National Society Award for it, which was really cool. So yeah, it's been an incredible experience, and I've learned so much from doing it, and it's definitely given me a lot of those CV skills as well as just having an incredible experience myself.
Oh, that's so amazing. Kind of building on that one, do you have a favourite place to go and eat in Durham?
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh, there is a restaurant cafe called Jumping Bean, which I really love. It's a veggie vegan cafe, and they do really good like sort of fake chicken burgers and like fake meat hot dogs and things like that. So if you're into the whole fake meat thing, I know not everyone is, but if you are, they do some really, really good stuff. So I'm definitely a fan of the Jumping Bean. Like if someone came to visit me in Durham, that's probably where I take them. Would recommend.
Being in third year, do you have one favourite Durham memory?
Oh, that's a really good question. Okay, well, I'll give you a really good memory. I don't know if it's my favorite. There are probably like 20 favorite memories, but definitely one that is up there is first year in Durham, the first time it snowed. So obviously I have seen snow before. Some of my friends haven't, which was also a really cool experience in itself, because obviously Durham is so international. And I remember like one of my best friends who's from Malaysia, like when it snowed for the first time in Durham, that was literally her first ever time seeing it snow, and she was so excited. So that was really cool. But obviously I'm from London, so I've seen snow before, but snow in Durham is just magical, and especially being around the castle area, it's just so beautiful. Like you've got the castle and the cathedral and everything, and in the snow they all look so magical. Like it's literally something out of Harry Potter. It's amazing. And yeah, I just remember it snowing for the first time and all of us coming out of our accommodation and like screaming because it was so exciting. And then we all went into the castle courtyard and just had a massive snowball fight. And I remember, I think it was it December? It was November or December. And I remember the big Christmas tree in the castle Great Hall was up. So I just remember having that massive snowball fight and then going into castle for brunch, which is also the best thing ever. So we went into castle for brunch and the Christmas tree was up and it was all just so magical. I remember that day so clearly. And yeah, whenever it snows in Durham, it's beautiful. But I remember really clearly that very first time it snowed and just having that massive snowball fight. It was so much fun.
So kind of getting to the end of university experience, what do you think will be the thing that you miss the most about Durham University?
I think one of the things I'll miss about the whole Durham uni experience is just going out and walking wherever it is that I'm going that day, whether it's to college or to the library or whatever, and just knowing that I'll pass my friends, because I think Durham is so kind of like everyone is so close and it is quite a small place. And I always find that whenever I'm just walking out and about, I always pass someone that I know, and I always bump into my friends and then we just have a quick chat and kind of go about our days. But it's just so nice knowing that I don't necessarily have to, you know, even if I'm not meeting up with people, or maybe I've got quite a busy week and I'm having to go to the library every day, that I will just inevitably bump into people and I can, you know, have a quick break with my friends at the library, or just, you know, bump into them on the street and have a quick chat or whatever. So I think, you know, it's not like a really big sort of special thing, but it's something which I always associate with Durham, just that feeling of it being really close and always bumping into people that I know. That always makes me really happy.
What are some of your favourite things to do to kind of fill in that extra time to relax after you've done all your academic work, and just to fill in the time that you've got outside of academic situations?
I think if I were in the mood for like sort of doing something outside of the house or college in first year, then I just love going to cafes. Durham has so many different cafes and so many good cafes. So I think just rallying up some friends and going to one of the cafes, like I love Esquires, they do such a good hot chocolate. Riverview is really good as well for brunch. yeah, I could spend all day talking about cafes, but I would probably go to a cafe with some friends. That's just always been a really nice thing to do. And I think if I were wanting to stay in, then I just love a good movie night. Like, I think the friends that I have now, especially my housemates that I live with, we've all just bonded over having loads and loads of movie nights. So if I were to, yeah, just stay in and have a night in, then probably just watch a bunch of movies and get a load of snacks, curl up and watch a movie. That's always just been one of my favorite things to do.
One other thing that might be of interest to our listeners, could you tell us a little bit about the different part-time job opportunities you found through the university?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I'm really glad you asked, because it's actually one of my favorite things about Durham. I think that the uni does such a good job of giving part-time opportunities to students, and obviously it's helpful in terms of, you know, getting a bit of extra cash, and it's helpful as well in terms of just getting more experience and building up loads of skills. And I think it's something that the uni actively makes available to people, which I'm just really grateful for. So I've actually done quite a few different things while being at uni. So there's being a student ambassador, which has been such a fun experience. I've gotten to meet so many people, and I'm really grateful for the current students that I met when I was applying to university and having that whole experience. So it's amazing to be able to be in the position now where I can actually speak to those students who are, you know, nervous about applying or not sure what it is they want to do, and just offer my kind of opinion and advice on that. So that's something that I've really, really enjoyed doing. I've also worked as a mentor for the Northeast Collaborative Outreach Programme. So that's basically just working with students in schools in the Northeast and doing workshops and mentoring and that sort of thing to show them what higher education opportunities they have. So that's obviously been really, really rewarding and amazing to work with younger students. So that's another thing that I've done. And yeah, I'd say those are probably the two main things. I've done other bits here and there, like working during college balls, which is really fun because it's a good excuse to go to a ball while not having to pay to go to the ball as a guest. So I definitely recommend doing that if you ever get the opportunity. And I've been a telephone assistant for so the careers department phone up all the alumni who have left Durham and basically ask them to fill in a survey about what they've been doing after they've graduated. So I've done that for like a couple of months at a time, which is just really easy and really fun, actually, just talking to alumni about what they've been doing. So it's helped me a lot to think about what I'm doing after uni. So yeah, I think that's the main sort of bulk of what I've done in terms of part-time jobs. Oh, and I've also this year been a marketing and communications intern for the uni, which basically has just involved writing blog posts on kind of a weekly basis about lots of different topics to do with university life and what I've been up to and current things going on in Durham. So that's been really fun because I really enjoy writing. So that's just been a kind of part-time passion, really, that I've really enjoyed doing. So yeah, I think that's everything.
That's so cool though, to see the range of different opportunities that you've had available to you to develop so many skills across your time at university.
Definitely.
If you could describe Durham University in 3 words, what do you think they'd be?
Homely, adventure, and let's say beautiful. Okay, homely, adventure, beautiful. Those are my 3 words.
And now coming to the end of your 3 years, do you have any future plans laid out? What you're moving on to next?
So I'm not sure at the moment. I don't have anything lined up right now, but what I can say is that all the experience I've had at Durham has definitely given me a good idea of what it is that I want to do. So I am still looking for a job, but I know that I want to do something that involves communication, that involves writing, because I've definitely loved the blogging internship that I've done this year. So that's the kind of path that I'm looking for. I also know that I definitely want to take a break, so I'm going to use summer to just relax, spend time with my family, and just take a break from work and from studying. But I know what it is that I want to go into after this, so I'm really excited about that, and I'm just sort of looking for opportunities at the moment.
The last question that we have to finish off, if you could turn back time and give your pre-university self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would tell myself to do things that make me happy, because I think there's a there's a lot of pressure, mostly pressure that I put on myself to do certain things or act a certain way just because I felt like that was what I was supposed to be doing for some reason when being this person at university. And I've very quickly realized that there's really no need to act a certain way or anything like that. But I do think at the beginning, when I first arrived, I was nervous, and I sometimes did maybe just do things that I wasn't necessarily happy with, or spent too much time doing things that didn't make me happy. So I think the best advice I would give to someone starting at Durham or any university would be just do things that make you happy, because the 3 years go by quickly and it's so sad when you're at the end of it. So, just try your best not to have any regrets. So in the moment, just do things that are going to make you happy.
Oh, that's really, really great advice. Well, thank you so much for taking part in this podcast today. I really appreciate your time. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening.